Tonight on NewsWatch, abortion in America. Will the pro-life battle be won state by state?
Plus the cost of Obamacare. The argument over paying for it could shut down the government.
And an archaeological find, a palace from the days of King David. All this and more tonight on NewsWatch. It's been an epic summer for pro-life legislation. Good evening. I'm Mark Martin.
And I'm Heather Sells. After a nationally publicized battle in Texas, North Carolina has now passed new restrictions on its abortion clinics. Along with the legislation, public attitudes appear to be shifting, and pro-life politicians are seizing the moment. It is our top story tonight. The Texas battle to ban abortion at 20 weeks is now a talking point for politicians testing the presidential waters. CBN News obtained exclusive access to a recent gathering of Iowa pastors and found this: Senator Ted Cruz firing up the audience with his take on the Lone Star Showdown.
I'll tell you, the pro-life protesters came to the Capitol. They were arm in arm, singing Amazing Grace. And the pro-abortion protesters responded by chanting, "Hail Satan." You can't make this stuff up.
Libertarian Rand Paul was quick to point out his pro-life position as well.
Because you are committing a violence, and there is a role for government to stop violence.
The Texas bill not only banned abortions after 20 weeks, it upgraded requirements for abortion clinics, and 4 now say they'll close. This week, North Carolina also increased its standards for clinics. So far this year, state lawmakers have passed more than 50 laws restricting abortion. That number pales in comparison to 2011, when lawmakers passed 92. But both sides agree the laws passed this year are more powerful, like in North Dakota and Kansas, which banned abortion on the basis of gender. Public sentiment now appears to support these efforts more than ever. A Washington Post ABC News poll out this week shows the majority of Americans, 56%, support restricting abortion after 20 weeks.
And joining us now is Kristin Hawkins with Students for Life. Kristin, do you think the change in attitudes about abortion is a result of pro-lifers doing a better job at framing their message?
Definitely. I mean, you also have messaging and technology that have gone into the fold. Remember, this is the pro-life generation. This generation of young people are actually influencing their parents now about abortion because of ultrasound technology and the way, the pro-life movement and lots of state legislation, how they're putting the issue is making sense to people. They get that.
The latest Washington Post poll also shows that 54% of Americans don't like laws that, quote, make it more difficult for abortion clinics to operate. What's your take on that? Has the GOP overreached a little on this one?
No, absolutely not. We're protecting women from Kermit Gosnells. And when we're talking about, instituting basic safety protocols for abortion facilities, this is because states have failed to do this because no one really wants to talk about abortion. But the sad fact is veterinary clinics are more regulated and more healthy than an abortion facility. These are basic common sense safety standards. So we need to be talking about this more and more, especially in light of the Kermit Gosnell trial this May.
Well, you've seen huge growth in the number of pro-life students. Why do you think the pro-life message seems to resonate so much with the younger generation? Talk a little bit more about that.
Sure. We see it as a very basic human rights issue. We've grown up always seeing the ultrasounds, especially the 3D and 4D ultrasounds, always knowing that the baby inside of her is a baby, is a human being. And that's changed the messaging. You have other people on the pro-abortion side have actually publicly spoken about this, about how they can't use the same old antiquated arguments of it's just a clump of cells or having abortions like getting your appendix removed, because there's proof. There's pictures right there that show you that a baby is alive and well inside of his or her mother.
All right, Kristin Hawkins with Students for Life. Thanks for being with us, Kristin.
Thanks for having me.
The government wants major internet companies to turn over your computer password and the passwords of millions of Americans. CNETnews.com reports the move represents a step up in surveillance techniques. If the government has your password, it can be used to log into your account, review your personal information and correspondence, or even impersonate you. Many internet companies have flatly refused the government's demands for passwords and other ways to get into personal accounts.
Senate Democrats have stepped in to protect funding for the IRS. House Republicans are seeking to slash its budget. They've cut $3 billion from next year's IRS operating budget. But Democrats voted to ensure the IRS will still receive $44 billion of taxpayer money to carry out its operations. And they also defended the ability of the Revenue Service to enforce President Obama's health care law.
Republicans are notching up their fight against the president's costly health care overhaul, and it could leave Congress with a tough decision in just a matter of weeks. As CBN's Ephraim Graham reports, lawmakers may be faced with a choice between defunding Obamacare or shutting down the government.
The price tag for the president's health care overhaul is getting bigger.
The cost of Obamacare is now 3 times what they originally expected it to be and getting higher every day.
But Republicans are drawing a new line in the sand and threatening to shut down the government. 12 senators and 66 congressmen have signed letters to their leaders declaring they will not support a new government funding bill in September if it includes funds for the health care law. The move comes after the White House has delayed the mandate that requires businesses to provide health care coverage for their employees and launches a new health care advertising campaign. The new ads target a tough audience to reach: the working poor, young people, and those who gave up their insurance because of the cost. The price tag for this push is nearly $700 million.
The law, as it was designed, is impossible to implement, and that's what we're learning as they run into all of these practical problems. And so either this thing is going to be repealed or it's going to be significantly changed and reformed into something that can actually be done.
Obamacare remains unpopular with Americans. In the latest NBC News Wall Street Journal poll, 47% say it's a bad idea. 34% say it's a good one. For now, confusion and uncertainty about the law is stifling economic growth and leaving business owners worried.
So there's a lot of heartburn right now and a lot of nervousness about what exactly the increased costs will mean for their bottom line.
Ephraim Graham, CBN News.
Senator Marco Rubio is among the 12 senators who signed a letter refusing to support a spending bill that funds Obamacare. He called the opposition an integral part of the party's principles and urged his colleagues to be ready to take a stand.
5 same-sex marriage licenses were approved in one Pennsylvania county this week, even though state law defines marriage as between one man and one woman. At least one of those homosexual couples has already gone through with their illegal wedding. A battle is expected to play out in court. The Montgomery County District Attorney says the licenses are not legally valid in Pennsylvania, but says it's not her place to intervene. And the state's Attorney General has said she will not defend the gay marriage ban. A Cleveland man accused of holding 3 women captive in his home for about a decade pleaded guilty today. Ariel Castro entered the plea to avoid the death penalty. Prosecutors say the 53-year-old will be sentenced to life without parole plus 1,000 years in prison. Castro had faced a 977-count indictment. The women went missing at different times after accepting a ride from Castro. The 3 escaped from his house in May when one kicked out part of a door and called to neighbors for help.
President Obama praises the accomplishments of Muslims in America. He hosted his 5th annual Iftar dinner at the White House Thursday. Iftar is an observance of the Muslim holy month of Ramadan. The president praised Muslim entrepreneurs, innovators, and pioneers for their contributions to America.
Throughout our history, Islam has contributed to the character of our country, and Muslim Americans and their good works have helped to build our nation. And we've seen the results. We've seen those results in generations of Muslim immigrants, farmers and factory workers, helping to lay the railroads and build our cities, Muslim innovators who helped build some of our highest skyscrapers, and who helped to unlock the secrets of our universe.
The event continued the tradition of iftar dinners that began under President Bill Clinton, and it was continued by President George W. Bush. Well, meanwhile, across the globe, the president of the Christian Association of Nigeria says Christians there are being terrorized by an Islamist sect known as Boko Haram. It has killed more than 1,600 people in Nigeria since 2010. Earlier this month, 48 students and 7 teachers were killed in a school dormitory. Nigeria has 80 million Christians.
Coming up, new evidence that confirms the biblical account of history. Why archaeologists say they have new proof that King David was real.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Jim is 38, mortgage, married, 3 great kids. He wants to protect his family with a $500,000 term life insurance policy. What do you think it'll cost him? $100 a month? 60? 40? Actually, none of the above. Jim can get a $500,000 policy from a highly rated insurer for under $19 a month. His secret? SelectQuote. SelectQuote is impartial. They'll comparison shop the pick of insurance companies like these to give you a choice of your best prices. SelectQuote has great savings on term life for women, too. Jim's wife, Deidre, can get a $500,000 policy for under $16 a month. SelectQuote has helped make term life insurance affordable for hundreds of thousands of people since 1985. How about you? Just call this number or go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
Egyptian authorities have ordered that former President Mohamed Morsi continue to be detained until further notice. He's accused of conspiring with the Palestinian group Hamas to carry out a massive jailbreak of dozens of Muslim Brotherhood leaders in 2011, Morsi being one of them. That happened during the popular uprising that toppled President Hosni Mubarak. Morsi has already been held for 15 days as he has been investigated.
Now to a remarkable discovery in Israel. Archaeologists believe they have uncovered the remains of a palace of King David. CBN News correspondent Julie Stahl takes us to the scene.
About 20 miles outside of Jerusalem, archaeologists found the best example yet of a fortified city in Judah from the time of King David. Identified with biblical Sha'araim, the city overlooked the valley of Elah, where David killed Goliath.
Before we excavated here, there was many debate about King David, if he's a historical figure or not, and if he indeed has a kingdom and fortified cities.
Hebrew University archaeologist Professor Yossi Garfinkel says even though David is famous in the Bible, no evidence from his time as king had been found in Hebron or Jerusalem.
So people start asking, well, maybe it's all mythology, maybe it's only his stories, maybe he never existed. Or if he existed, he was just a Bedouin sheikh living in a tent, but no real kingdom, no real fortified cities.
That changed 7 years ago when the excavations here began.
And after 1 and 2 and 3 seasons, it turned out that we have a big city here, which was heavily fortified. Some of the stone here are up to 8 tons. This is not a small village. This is a real important stronghold.
Not everyone shares this excitement. Some archaeologists caution that the site may have belonged to other kingdoms. Many believe there is no actual proof that King David existed. But Garfinkel is convinced. They found a 1,000 square meter palace at the center of the site. It had an excellent view from the Mediterranean Sea to the Hebron Mountains and Jerusalem. Another building would have been used to store taxes.
How do you collect taxes in antiquity? People did not have salaries, so you don't have income tax like today. But people were agriculturalists, so everybody had to donate some of their product. Wheat, barley, legumes, and so on and so forth. And these were stored in big storage room, in storage jars, and in a central building.
There were no pig bones found at the site, showing that people followed the biblical commandment against eating pork. Garfinkel says all the discoveries add up.
And it's different from the Philistine, from the Canaanite, or from the Kingdom of Israel. So our conclusion is that this city is from the time of King David.
The dig at Khirbet Qeiyafa will soon be finished as archaeologists look for more answers at another excavation site.
This area is going to be developed into a national park. To develop the place to be a tourist area, and people from Israel and abroad, tourists can come and see the landscape, can see the only place in the world where you can see a city from the time of King David.
John Waggy, CBN News.
And we apologize, of course, that was John Waggy reporting and not Julie Stahl, as we said before the story.
Up next, a tour of what's been called the most dangerous place on Earth.
Hello? Is this thing on? Hey, kids, do you love games? And do you love discovering things? Well, do ya?
Then you're gonna love this. It's the new free Superbook Kids Bible app. You can play games, watch videos, find answers to your questions, and a whole lot more. The new Superbook Kids Bible app. Free downloads available on iTunes now.
Stop struggling with heavy hoses that are kinked and deliver little or no water, or worse, break. Introducing the incredible Flexible Hose. Turn the water on and it expands up to 3 times its original length, so you can easily guide it anywhere you need without tangling. When you turn the water off, as it drains, the hose retracts back to its original shape. Standard rubber hoses can weigh between 8 and 12 pounds, but a 25-foot flexible hose weighs less than a pound. The Flexible Hose is so compact and lightweight, a child can manage a 75-foot hose easily. The Flexible Hose will never kink and is guaranteed to take the mess out of watering your lawn and plants. So washing your windows or spraying off your gutters has never been easier. The Flexible Hose is made of a tough double wall construction that is designed to bend and stretch but never kink.
Flexible Hose is designed like a fire hose for speed, storage, and strength to last a really long time.
Call or visit FlexibleHose.com to order the incredible Flexible Hose for only $19.95. Call right now and we will include a 7-way adjustable spray nozzle free. You can choose a full action spray, a gentle mist, a powerful jet, a vertical mist, flat spray, a cone spray, or a soaker setting. So stop coiling your hose with bulky devices. Flexible Hose automatically retracts in seconds and weighs less than 1 pound. In fact, a 75-foot hose easily fits in a small bucket and stores away neatly in a drawer. Flexible Hose saves you precious space on boats and is perfectly portable for RVs. But wait, order today and we'll give you a second Flexible Hose system free. Just pay separate processing and handling. That's 2 Flexible Hoses and 2 7-way adjustable spray nozzles, a $40 value, all for only $19.95. This offer is not available in any store. Order now.
To order Flexible Hose and take advantage of this amazing double offer, call 1-800-769-3384 or go to flexiblehose.com. Remember, this offer is not available in stores, so call now.
Welcome back. Saturday marks the 60th anniversary of the ceasefire that ended the fighting of the Korean War. Now, technically, the war isn't over. The two sides only signed a truce and have yet to negotiate a peace treaty. North Korea is marking the 60-year milestone with a massive celebration tomorrow, calling it Victory Day. Here in America, the U.S. Korea Institute held a congressional event to honor Korean War veterans. Former Senator John Warner served in the U.S. Marines during the conflict. He remembers how the U.S. was quickly downsizing the military after World War II when this new war erupted.
And we had no thought that the United States would be called upon so quickly to respond to a noble cause, and that was to preserve freedom for South Korea. We learned a lesson as a nation, never again to allow our defenses to slip below that level of the commitments we have, not only to ourselves to protect freedom, but indeed those other allies and other freedom-seeking peoples of the world.
Today, the demilitarized zone between North and South Korea remains the world's most fortified border.
Along that border, troops from the North, the South, and the U.S. still face off every day across a narrow strip of land. It is known as the Demilitarized Zone, or the DMZ.
George Thomas takes us into the heart of this extremely tense environment.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're coming up to United Nations Command Checkpoint Bravo. This regulates all the traffic going in and out of the demilitarized zone and also here at Camp Boniface.
Welcome to the Demilitarized Zone, or DMZ. CBN News got a tour of the world's most fortified border.
We'll just wait up here at the top of the stairs, sir.
3 miles wide and 150 miles long, the DMZ is dotted with mines, concrete walls, electric fences, bunkers, and heavy military equipment. And due to the sensitive nature of the area, our every move is closely monitored.
We do take it very seriously to keep people close together, single file lines, and they do not stray off.
Because a mistake happens and it could mean life or death.
Yes, sir.
2 million troops have been deployed from both sides.
The DMZ is a very vigorous place to serve. It's a very austere place to serve.
North Korea keeps about 1.2 million soldiers, the majority of whom are deployed close to the DMZ. The South has some 690,000 South Koreans, backed by 30,000 U.S. troops.
When I just first started working here, I couldn't believe a place like this really existed.
Here in 1953, Chinese, North Korean, and United Nations representatives signed an armistice that stopped the Korean War. An armistice is not a peace treaty, so technically the two Koreas are still in a state of war. The last war in Korea killed nearly 2 million people, including 37,000 Americans. The only thing stopping another war from breaking out is the thin DMZ line that has held for more than half a century. That thin line here in Panmunjom is this concrete slab that literally divides the North and South. On that side is North Korea. I'm actually standing on the South Korean side, and we have 2 South Korean soldiers who are basically here protecting me and those that I am with. Panmunjom is the only place on the DMZ where representatives from all sides can meet and resolve military and political issues. And nowhere else on the DMZ will you find South Korean, North Korean, and US soldiers come as close as they do here. One step in the wrong direction could be disastrous. And that's what many here worry about: a defector rushing the border, or a South Korean soldier accidentally stepping into North Korea.
Once again, we are being observed by the North Koreans, so please no pointing, waving, or gesturing at this time.
Watching our every move from a few yards away is a group of North Korean soldiers. You have a North Korean soldier who is as intrigued and curious as to what we're doing on this side, but I'm also curious. You can see a gentleman, I think I can see him, he's got his binoculars looking through the window. They've got cameras up on top of their building. For our protection, South Korean soldiers are posted directly behind us in a rather unusual posture. You look at this gentleman who's standing right behind you. He's got half his body pretty much covered by the building. What is the purpose of that?
He's not exposing himself fully to the enemy, so if there was an incident to occur, he's got some cover.
In fact, the soldiers at Panmunjom are chosen for their intimidating appearance. Our next stop, one of the conference rooms, which straddles North and South. The table in the center of the room functions as an important piece of furniture.
So those of you on this side right now are in North Korea. Those of us on this side are in South Korea.
And on one side of the room, a door that's guarded by a South Korean soldier.
Please do not walk behind him, for that door leads to North Korea. If you try to go behind him, he will stop you from going behind him.
According to the history books, this room has witnessed some dramatic moments on the DMZ.
Back in March of 2001, when President Bush met with former President Kim Dae-jung, the JDO witnessed from that camera there inside the translator booth 2 North Korean soldiers in this building at the time. Ironically, when President Bush and former President Kim Dae-jung were shaking hands, the North Korean soldiers pulled down the American flag and proceeded to polish their boots with it, and they took down the South Korean flag and blew their nose with it.
Today, one of the world's major flashpoints is also a major tourist destination, attracting hundreds of thousands of visitors each year. The nuclear tensions haven't stopped people from making the 33-mile journey to the north from Seoul. But visitors to the DMZ are warned that this here is no Disney World.
Now, it's peaceful because of the professionalism of the soldiers here and their training that keeps the peace. And that is our job, to keep things at the armistice conditions.
But there is a risk involved.
Absolutely, every day.
George Thomas, CBN News, Panmunjom, South Korea.
When it's warm, you'd love to open every door and let fresh air into your home. The trouble is, you'd end up letting lots of bugs into your home as well. Now there's Magic Mesh, the new type of screen door that opens easily and then magically closes itself behind you. So if your hands are full, or you have a forgetful family member, you can still let fresh air in and keep annoying bugs out. The secret isn't really magic, it's magnets. 18 magnets to be exact. When you separate them, they automatically snap back together, so bugs have little chance to enter. Magic Mesh is perfect for single doors. A must-have for homes with sliding doors. It is even great for campers and RVs, because even when your hands are full, Magic Mesh will snap closed behind you. That makes it great for pets too, because instead of scratching and whining, they can come and go as they please, and it puts an end to slamming doors because it closes gently every time. Plus, it's so easy to install. No nails, no screws, no tools. Goes up in seconds and stays up all season long, no matter how often you, your kids, or your dog go through. So let the fresh air in and keep those annoying bugs out with Magic Mesh, a $40 value, yours for just $19.95. Best of all, Magic Mesh saves you money because when it's nice, leave those doors open. You won't have to use air conditioning. And when the weather turns chilly, just take it down and store it away for next year. But wait, call right now and we'll double the offer. Just pay separate processing and handling. Use one for your sliding door and one for your back door. One for your home and the other for your RV. That's right, you get 2 Magic Mesh curtains for just $19.95. That's less than $10 each. Don't delay. Call and order yours today.
Call 1-800-731-6141 to order Magic Mesh for $19.95 plus processing and handling. Or log on to buymagicmesh.com. Call or log on now.
Residents of the town of West Texas, the site of a massive fertilizer plant explosion last April, got some relief at the pump.
The Suitmobile, a Dallas-based nonprofit, decided to help them in an unusual way.
Well, West went through a lot of bad times and still are, but it's great that y'all come by and doing this. It helps people out a lot.
Suitmobile gave $20 worth of free gas to each vehicle that showed up at a local gas station during a 3-hour period.
The Suitmobile brought the group down to let people know we hadn't forgotten about them and to try to remind other people that they're still here and there's still needs.
The organization gave out free gas in April and hopes to do it again before the year ends. Think it's a great idea, and that is all for this edition of NewsWatch.
Yeah, thanks for watching. Have a good weekend.